We just want to have a press conference with His Worship the Mayor and the Chairperson of Finance concerning the just recently presented budget, and also Ma'am Sarah is here from Finance Department. If you've got some issues that you want clarity on pertaining to the recently presented budget, you can ask me afterwards. I want to hand over this time to the His Worship the Mayor to just give us a briefing. Then at the end of the day, after his presentation, then we can then ask some questions on wherever we want clarity. Thank you.
No, thank you. I won't say much. I think I want to thank the Chair of Finance for having eloquently done the budget presentation. So it is processed today. What we just need is to emphasize the underlying fundamentals in the budget. The issue that, as he highlighted in his budget speech, that part of our devolution funds are not coming. And if they are coming, they are being diverted to areas which we would not have agreed to as a council. Areas like the Pomona deal, areas like the ambulances, and it's becoming problematic because if we had gotten that money, which is about $3 million US, we would have bought tipper trucks, compactors, and almost all the equipment we need for drainage, cleaning, and the repair of the roads. So we've got those issues. Then we need to work on people faithfully paying their rentals and regularizing properties. But many of the issues are the issues that were flagged by our Minister of Finance here, who is the chair of the Finance Committee, and I of course like to thank the Budget Office that did the figures and so forth. And another issue is that we are going to be sweating our assets. We have created a new board for Rufaro Marketing. Rufaro Marketing is one of our biggest companies in terms of asset base. It owns 85 bars. We own 100% of the national brewery, of the Chibuku brewery that they use to make masupa. And we have not been getting any rentals from there. We are also supposed to get beer levy from the sale of beer. I don't know, have we been getting the beer levy?
The beer levy, we've been getting it, but we just need to pop up our follow-ups with the institutions.
Yes, because the calculations and the formula and the quantities are not very clear. But we have a list with them on the Rufaro brewery, and we need that Rufaro marketing money. We have not been receiving the rentals, and we've also not been receiving the rentals from the 85 bars, some of them iconic in Highfields, Glenview, and so forth. And that's a lot of money, and we need that. And also to emphasize the issue of renewable energy, we need to get a solar farm. We need to have our own energy source as the city, and we are going to be putting our farms, like Potter Farms, available for private-public partnerships on producing solar. I think for Harare's needs, if we are able to get 100 megawatts per day, we should be able to cater for the needs of the Harare citizens and smaller businesses. And we will leave central government to go and give the heavy industries. We are also going to be looking at the transportation issues like light rail. We need a light rail. There's a steel plant that is being made. We need to see how we can deal with the transportation issue and adopt a light rail system for Harare. And you know, the finance chair mentioned the issue of clinics. We are going to build more clinics of the Mavuku size, which has theaters. I think Mavuku has about 2 or 3 theaters. Three or four theaters. We are going to build more polyclinics. We can no longer sustain referring patients to the two central hospitals. And in that line, we are going to give permission to our health department to employ doctors who can do certain procedures so that there is no need for them to be referred to central hospitals. And we will look at our elderly. As part of the comments, We are going to see if we can't reduce so that everyone who is 65 and above and war veterans can pay 25% of the bill. Those who are 65 and above, they are struggling even at paying 50% of the bill. We are going to look at during this consultation process to see whether they cannot pay 25. And the clamping fees, we need the clamping fees to go below 100. And I think anything above $60 to $80 is deterrent enough, and not the crime, corruption inducing 130 something that it is pegged at. So those are the key issues and highlights that we need to flag. And then the issue of the ERP, we are going to want to have a bridging ERP within the next 14 days. We are going to contact PRAS and the relevant authorities to see how we can create a billing system. But I want to, and that's a summary. I don't know if there are questions. The Chair of Finance, the Budget Office will then be able to answer the questions in relation to the budget. Are there any questions from the fourth estate?
Okay, maybe to add on your worship. I think I just wanted to.
Yes. Oh, yes. Don't know how much is that.
Our budget being pegged in Zimbabwe dollars, we have a transgressing equivalent value, because by the time that it is approved, it will depend on the ruling exchange rate. As we speak right now, the exchange rate is around 634, so our budget is around 335 million US dollars. So at the time of approval, it may have a lower value in US dollar terms, depending on the stability of the exchange rate.
We are at the mercy of the performance of central government. I think what people must understand is that the city council government is at the mercy of the performance of the central government. Should the dollar dramatically fall in value, then our budget estimates will become woefully short and will quickly run into problems. But we had asked to do the budget the other way, to do it in US and that it be translated in RTGS, but that will be breaking the law, isn't it? So our budgets are approved by the ministry, so we have to do them in RTGS and then hope that the Ministry of Finance, the Reserve Bank, are able to maintain the stability of the currency. If the stability of the currency is not maintained, then this whole process is academic, because we don't have the instruments to then deal with any volatility in the macro economy.
Thank you. I have two questions from me. The first question is, why is there a huge disparity in terms of property tax bills between the poor, the high density suburbs and the low density suburbs, as if council is punishing those that have money? And then the second question is on the issue of the ambulance. I'm not sure if I get you well. Do you say the ambulance fees are increasing from 20 to 25?
Yes.
To 35? Yes. How then do you balance it with your objective of ensuring access to healthcare, when the same people that you are trying to protect by maintaining the hospital fees are the same people that are going to use the same ambulances? Is this affordable for the majority of the residents of Harare, taking the ambulance fees at 35 US dollars?
Well, what we are going to do, but it's probably part of the feedback we are going to be getting within the month, where we will be depositing the budget. Should the representations come that it is unaffordable, then we will naturally see if we can adjust that to meet the residents' issues. But what we need to underscore, what we need to do to health, we probably will need to be more creative. We need to produce a city-wide health plan or a city-wide medical aid plan. We cannot sustain a cash-based health provision system. It has to be backed by the world over. Health is supported either by a national health insurance or by a city-wide health insurance. So what we are going to do is we are going to see whether we cannot remodel our Hamas model so that it can be open to the broader public. We get partnerships so that we can leverage, so that we can provide medical aid for all the residents in the city. We have everything that will be required that can anchor, and the infrastructure that can anchor a medical aid. We have the clinics, we have the doctors, we have the nurses, we have the polyclinics with theater capacity. So we are going to seriously look at the model on how we are providing health to the city residents so that it does not remain a cash-based system. But if the government is going to delay in producing a national health insurance, we are going to, in the shortest possible time as a city, going to be introducing a city-wide health scheme which can then leverage and help fund the various health services that we provide. And we'll call for the corporate sector to come and assist us in coming up with a model and do that. And one thing that ought to have been announced in the budget, which we are going to do, is we are going to appoint a city advisory council. The city advisory council is going to be stakeholders based, and it's also going to call on the expertise of everyone, the water cluster, health cluster, and so forth. And this advisory council will be part and parcel of our processes as council, so that we can get advice on issues such as health, issues such as water, issues such as planning, and we'll get elders and professionals that are able to assist us in that regard.
And then the issue of disparities.
Oh yes, the low density and high density. Comfort comes with a price.
The value of the property. The issue of the disparity comes with the value of the property. You cannot compare a property in Borodale sitting on 4,000 square meters to a property in Bari sitting on 200 square meters. There has to be commensurate allocation of the pricing in terms of property tax. Also, when we do we are going to be rolling out the general valuation role in the first quarter of 2023, because the GVR already has been completed. So it's just the due processes which are left, which will then highlight the real value is reviewed, because it is done over a number of years. Every 5 to 10 years, you review the pricing of your properties to capture increase in value. So to allow for the charging of different charges as per the value of the property.
So it's not a punishment. There is a formula to the matrix. The more your value, so those who have 20 toilets at their house, we are accordingly value the 20 toilets and make sure that you have a consumerate payment.
And one other person, in terms of the revenue that you collected for the year, would you be able to give percentages in terms of what went to service delivery and what went to maybe the human capital cost?
For our budget, as we highlighted earlier on, that we suffered a low percentage in revenue collection. So what it then portrays is to say that since salaries are a statutory obligation, you cannot wake up and say, because we collected $100 out of 1,000, let's reduce the salaries. So the implication that it gives is that the city is allocating more monies to salaries, but in actual fact, it must be put into context to say how much was budgeted, the overall budget. If you put it into context, you find that our budget, our salaries are within the 30% region. But in view of the low revenue inflows, it then projects our salaries higher because it's statutory. We cannot wake up today giving employees X amount of dollars and then we move it down depending on the revenue inflows. So to that effect, you find that our salaries budget is consumed more than 50% of the revenue inflows because of that position.
Okay. So we want to...
The final one. That's also a nature. Mayor, you keep on as city, mukuramba muchi budget, muchi tesa mawu evolution, yamopita musikuwana. But budget ya 2023, maisa zvakare zvinofanirwa kutora mari kubva kudevolution. Pane matanho amuri here secouncil kuona kuti besides kungotaura zvatiri kuita izvi kuti mari yedevolution haisi kuuya kuti mari iwanikwe.
Tiri kutora matanho tataura nemakurukota. Mari yedevolution inyaya inotirwadza zvikuru nekuti mari yedevolution iri kudyiwa mudenga semushonga wezviyazvi zvisina dosage. Isusu taita kushungurudzika nekutambudzika zvokwadi nekudya kuri kuitwa mari yedevolution. Mari yedevolution inofanirwa kunge ichiuya kumakanzuru. Tainda kuministry tanyora mwadi tataura mumakansel meeting kuti nai vedu vei dotipaiwo mari yatakanzi tipuwe muconstitution 5%, asi vanhu vaya vari kuihwira nekuimunyungira seshuga yekumusha. Asi tichange tichitora matanho ekuvaendesa kumadzitare emhosva nekuti iyi iripo pa constitution, imari yatofanirwa kupiwa. Saka zvikaramba zvakadai, ivo vanoti tiibhajete, vanoti iise mukati, asi vozoda kuitorerai mudenga. Saka tichange tichiindisa kumatare edzimhosva kana zvaramba zvakadai. Tichakumbirawo kuti maresidents ndimi muri kubirwa mari. Mari haisi kubirwa vamafume, haisi kubirwa vagotora, haisi kubirwa vamande. Mari iri kubirwa imi semaresidents vanobhadhara mataxi. Maide muri kuita rifa remvura muno muHarare, muri kuita rifa rekugara zvakanaka, mapaki achishongedzwa, asi pane vanhu vari kutora vachinoshongedza dzimba dzavo chete. Moona vane dzimba dzakanaka voita sevekangwara kudarika vanhu vese muno muHarare, asi vari kutora pfuma yeruzhinji. Saka imari yedu tichange tichivateverera, tichange tichivaindisa kumadzitare, asi kana tavanetsa 2023 kune vhoti, tinokurudzira kuti vagare mutarise vari kudya mari yenyu semushonga yezviyazviya. Moona isusu vasiri kuhwira mari yenyu motiisa pazvigaro kuitira kuti mari inge ichiuya kukanzuru. Tinotenda. Thank you.
Thank you so much.